Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. And they just cannot hide this anymore. It's becoming way too obvious now. That is the topic for today's video. So we're going to talk all around this. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but we've talked about this quite a lot, how prices just seem to keep going up. Wages don't seem to be keeping up. Everyone seems to be struggling at the moment, and yet the media tells us how everything's okay. The politicians tell us that everything's okay. They tell us if you just vote for this new party, like what's about to happen in the UK, everything's going to be fine. Over in the US, everyone's telling you everything's going to be fine. We're going to focus a lot on the US today because I want to, in fact, let's give some context first to what we're going to talk about here. So we've got all of these layoffs happening, and we're not going to talk about the construction industry. So don't worry before your eyes glaze over here. This is just to give you context here. We're seeing all of these layoffs everywhere, non-stop. We're seeing all of these layoffs. Unemployment's rising. The jobs are not hitting anywhere where it's meant to be, and they cannot figure it out. They're saying we just don't get it. Why is it that we can't get these job numbers up? Why are we seeing so much unemployment? And they've got all these, charts, etc. They just can't figure it out. And then I was looking at the US, here we go, the US unemployment rate here. And we're going to piece all this together like a jigsaw. And it increased to 4% in May of 2024. So it actually increased. They have it at 4%, and it's been going up quite steadily. Youth unemployment rate, 9.2% as well. So we're seeing huge numbers of unemployment, and they tell us that it's 4%. However, that's not correct. We always need to look at John Williams' stats over on Shadow Stats. And you can see here that the official rate, so basically what happens is they use different rates for measuring different metrics in the economy. So U3 is one measure that they use as their official rate. They also use, well, they don't really use it, but economists use U6. And then we have the Shadow Stats rates as well, which is like way, way above. So to give you an example, something that made me laugh in an ironic, not ha-ha funny way this week, but it talked about how all these people had just been laid off from this tech company. And they asked the governor, it was in a Democrat state, shall we say. They asked the governor about this, and they said, oh, well, we don't actually count those as now unemployed. They go into a pool for a few months, and then they might go on to some sort of welfare payments and all this other stuff. So they're not really unemployed because they're going to be helped out, and then they're going to be this. So they're still hardworking Americans. And I'm watching going, hold on, they've just been laid off. They should now go into the unemployment numbers. And we got this person talking absolute crazy talk, which isn't surprising when you see some of this stuff. Crazy talk about they're not unemployed. No. They're just not working right now. They are great work, all this sort of stuff. And again, I'm not saying they're not great workers. I'm sure they are. They're probably wonderful people, great workers. But it's all this weird word weaving. Oh no, they're not unemployed. No. They just got laid off, but they're not unemployed. It's really strange, all this stuff. So what we want to look at here, U6 is the broadest sense, and that's about 6.5–7%. So that's more official for the unemployment rate. But Shadow Stats, if you take into account all sorts of all categories, so this is people that are working gig jobs, and all this other stuff. This is about 25% of the US workforce are unemployed right now. They don't want to tell you this sort of thing. And this is the other thing that's happening to people, not just Americans, but everyone. Home affordability in the US has now sunk to its lowest point in terms of being able to afford a home since 2007. Can you believe that? 2007. It's now less affordable for average earners than any time in 17 years. And you know what? They're not trying to solve this problem. They're making it even worse. And it's not just in the US, it's most Western countries. The cost of a typical home, including mortgage payments, property insurance, and taxes, consume 35.1% of the average wage in the second quarter, the highest share since 2007, up from 32% a year earlier. So it's gone up by 3%. That is huge. In fact, it's not just the 3, we could even say it's gone up 10% on the previous. It's insane what's going on here. In more than a third of US markets, ownership costs ate up 43% of average local wages. 43% of your wage being eaten up by this, far above the 28%. This has been the marker for a long time now. That's what, and you look at what the banks use as well for affordability. So it's 43% when they typically look at 28%. This is insane. Now, to add insult to injury here, we've had all these rate hikes, haven't we, throughout all the banks? All the banks, they've been central banks raising these rates, which what has happened in the past is the banks then, they pass on the rates to you via your savings that you've put with the bank. That's what's supposed to happen. This average 5.4% that the banks have been getting from the Federal Reserve, well, guess what? Have they passed that on to you? No, they haven't. That's what they're supposed to do. But again, who guards the guards? No one. And that is the problem. This is the issue that we're having at the moment. So they say it here themselves. After these rate hikes, 5.4% interest was supposed to be paid out, but they never pay it to the people. And this is what's worrying. Now, they've got this new thing, upflation, not shrinkflation, not inflation. Now it's upflation. So what they're doing with your products is they are using branding to manipulate people here. They're charging $14, here's an example, for an all-over body deodorant, which is double the price of a standard stick. They're calling this they add all these words like, ooh, intimate razor. This is better than the Venus or whatever else. And they're using all these tricks now. So they're pulling a lot of other lines. Oh, sorry, out of stock. Sorry about this, guys. We haven't got stock of this. We've got these new ones. It's so sneaky, because they've got these monopolies. There's all these monopolies. And again, they can't hide this stuff anymore. People can see it with their own eyes. You go into the store and you look at that shelf and your options are so limited. I have entrepreneurs that contact me because I do mentoring and about my courses and things. And they say, Neil, how on earth am I supposed to break into this market? I've got this new chocolate, bar, but you look at it and it's Mars, or in the UK specific, Mars, Cadbury's. How do you break into that? In the US, what is it? Hershey's and a couple of others. How on earth do you break in? Unless you're someone like Mr. Beast, who is, a billionaire now. He's got the most subscribers in the world, right? Unless you're someone like that, how on earth do you break in? That's what he did with his chocolate bar. This is just so difficult for everybody. My heart goes out to everyone, really. I mean it, with everything going on here. This is terrible. So here's what the Fed chair, Powell, has just warned of then. He's mentioned this unsustainable US debt path. And he is really he's making up all this stuff. Oh, we've got this robust labor market. Oh, yes, robust. I want to tell you the warning he's given out, and I'm surprised that they're all talking about this at this recent meeting. We've seen massive investment, and there's a sense of something big coming, but it's too early to say how it will affect productivity, inflation, and growth. Addressing the biggest risk facing the US economy, Powell highlighted cyber risk as a significant concern. We've talked about this a lot. I think there's going to be something big coming in terms of a cyber attack. I think it's going to be one of two things. I think it's going to be major. I think it's going to be on the grid, so something to do with your energy supply, something like that. Or I think we're going to see, or it could even be the same thing, interconnected. We're going to see something on the financial system, the banking system. You think everything's digital now. Imagine tomorrow, right? And I've talked about this with fire safes and everything else. Imagine there was like a solar flare, or there was a wink cyber attack on the financial system. Do you know exactly how much you've got in each bank account? Some people are laughing like, yeah, Neil, I know. I've got zero. I owe the bank. I owe the bank money. But seriously, some of us, we don't We don't know exactly pinpoint every last detail and every last account and everything like that. There's no paper records anymore. And this is what I think is this big setup that could be coming. I know it sounds a bit, crazy thoughts, but what happened to all my crazy thoughts in 2020? They kind of came true. So I do see a lot of strange things coming down the line here with all of this. He also said we know how to deal with credit risk and market dysfunction, but a big successful cyber attack on the financial market, utility, or a bank is a major worry. Well, what if it was bigger than that? What if it's the whole system that gets hit? And he's talking about the national debt as well a lot. He's saying this is the biggest worry. Almost 35, I don't even like looking at this. It's so worrying now. It's $35 trillion for the US. And the debt to GDP is 122%. They're trying to say it's 99%. It's actually 122%. You look at the debt per adult now. It is staggering. Don't even look at it. Best not to look at it. Credit card debt's gone from 700 billion up to almost 1.4 trillion. It's almost doubled in this short time. That should tell you what's happening. But let me tell you the one thing he talked about. And I've been mentioning this for a long time and saying it's both a huge risk and a big opportunity for you. And this is the other thing I want to just share real quick. People always say, oh, Neil, it's doom and gloom. He talks about doom and gloom. Actually, the funny thing is when I create positive content, people don't watch it. It gets like a third of the views, and then that hits my channel, and then my next video gets less views. So what do? I go out and I make these programs for you that can completely change your life. And I still have people saying, oh yeah, Neil, but I just saw you can do a payment plan, $49. Oh, well, people just make up excuses. It doesn't matter what I do. Even if I go out there and I create courses that you've seen the courses, a lot of you, they retail at $2,000. And that is not, and you think about the companies that buy these or the people that buy them and invest with them, they make a lot of money. So that you think it sounds a lot of money, it's good value. But then when I put them on for $199 like now on a sale, people still say it's crazy to me, by the way. And this is exactly what he's talking about here. We're going to go into this. It's all about this generative AI. So this is really important. I've got to get this across to you. He's talking about the risks here of generative AI. And he's talking about this big investment boom that we're going to see. He said it's going to eliminate jobs, but will create new jobs. Again, he isn't being honest. Yes, it's going to create new jobs, but these are highly skilled jobs that they're going to create. The average person is not going to be able to take these new jobs. You think about, I'm jumping back and forth here, I know. You think about when electricity was created and factories and things like that. You couldn't just have someone that used to sweep the floor or pick fruits. Suddenly they say, oh, look at all these new jobs. You can go in and run these electrical generators and these complex machines now. No, it's not that simple. And now you're going to have it even more of a chasm. You're going to take people from normal everyday jobs and say, oh, look at all these new jobs. You can be an AI generative engineer, software developer. Come on, let's get real here. It's going to take another generation. The youngsters coming up now, top tip if you're a youngster watching, getting into these fields, because this is where the big opportunity is going to be. And that's not just me saying that. I don't like the WEF, but I pulled this up for you. They actually said the global economy is digitalizing. Weird word, digitalizing. It's estimated that 2/3 of new value created over the next decade is going to come from digitally enabled platforms. Why, for those of you already taking my program, the latest one, why am I teaching you all about these digital platforms as one of the concepts? It's because this is where it's all coming in. This is where it's going to be. This is going to drive GDP like crazy. Now, they're saying that 300 million jobs will be lost as a result of all of this. That's what they're saying. But there was even some of the forecasts. This is America, by the way, that these forecasts. 400 to 800. This doesn't make any sense at all. It's like, when I saw this, I'm like, Do they know how many people are in the US? I think what they mean is global. They mean globally 400 to 800 million jobs are going to be lost due to AI. And again, you can go through all these reports. It's all, they go into all the details here. And now they're talking about GPT-5. And this is going to take even more jobs. Honestly, this is, let me just show you real quick as well. I know a lot of you have already got into the program now. Here we are. We're at the moment, we've got these 3 loaded up. On the weekend, this one's going to come on with the employee, self-employed entrepreneur aspect. And then we're going to have module 6 very shortly in the next couple of weeks. And this is really detailed on the next wave of AI and AGI. And then it sort of goes into the solution to this, so an entrepreneurial flow system, because you're all going to fall into this, by the way, in the future. It doesn't matter what you say, you think, oh no, my job's secure, I'm going to be fine. You are going to have to adapt and become entrepreneurial in the future, even if it is within a job. And this model covers all that. And then after that, it goes on to the blueprint, all around how Cashflow is going to be developed in the future and how you can do it using digital platform. In fact, it doesn't even need to be digital platforms. It can be pretty much anything, but you've got to think digitally because that's where we're going. And you've got to think AI and AGI because that is what's coming. I mean, you can put your head in the sand and you can leave me comments and whatever else, but the bottom line is this is coming and you've got to prepare for it alongside all of these other things. I mean, you need a PhD right now in crisis management just to navigate from 2020 to where we're going to 2030. Geopolitical, war, economical, AI, AGI taking jobs. It is an absolute minefield, guys. And that's why I keep saying they can't hide what's going on anymore. This is happening. It's happening at a rapid rate here. But I'm going to keep doing my best every day to prepare you for this. So the Fed doesn't expect inflation to hit 2% until 2025 now. So they keep pulling this back all the time. They're now saying it's going to be another year and a half, and they won't commit to cutting any rates. They're saying how strong the economy is. Really, have a look at shadow stats if you get a chance at some point. Have a look at shadow stats. It's not positive at all the way they are sort of explaining all of this stuff. We got some big stuff coming. We got some very worrying things coming. But honestly, just keep learning. Don't bury your head in the sand. Keep learning. Check out the program in the description. The link is there. Honestly, I've made it. I've taken on your feedback, by the way, from everyone last time that said, I'm in this country. I'm in South Africa. I'm in this, all these different countries. I can't afford the programs. That's why I've done these really low payment plans, as low as $49 a month, US dollars. It's like £35 or £40 or something for Brits or Europeans. So honestly, there's nothing more I can do. That is about as low as I can even get it to get you in. So you've got everything you need. I'm going to keep doing this stuff. We're going to do a walk and talk tomorrow. Bring the walk and talk back. I'm excited for that. Let's hope the weather holds out. But great to be online with you. Thanks so much. Take care. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow.